the application to adjudicating authority rules 2016, we have covered the main contents of the rules along with the forms. So these were the contents we have covered up till now. And the summarized form now, I am giving you a summarized form of it. That form 1A is for application to initiate CIRP by financial creditor. It may be a fast track or it may be a normal CIRP along with the fee of 25,000. Form 5 is for application to initiate CIRP by operational creditor along with the fee of 2,000. Form 6 is application to initiate CIRP by corporate debtor along with the fee of 25,000. Please mark, Form 1 and Form 5 are divided in 5 parts. But Form 6, that is application to initiate CIRP by corporate debtor, is divided only in 3 parts. These two are, Form 2 is for the written communication by the proposed IRP to the applicant that if he being appointed as an IRP, he is eligible to be appointed. Then Form 3 is for the demand notice to be served by the operational creditor to the corporate debtor at least 10 days before submitting application in Form 5 to initiate CIRP by operational creditor. Apart from Form 3, he can also file Form 4, which is a notice with which invoice demanding payment is to be attached, and that is to be served 10 days before initiating application in Form 5 for CIRP. Now, the difference between Form 3 and Form 4 was invoice was incorporated in Form 3 itself, while in Form 4 it is only a format of notice along with which invoice is to be attached. Whether it's with the Form 3 or it's with the Form 4, it has to be specifically mentioned that had it not been responded in 10 days, either by making the payment or by submitting the proof of the payment or proof that it is being disputed, whether in a suit or in an arbitration proceedings, CIRP will be initiated. So how many parts are there in Form 1 and Form 5? There are 5. Part 1 is the particulars of the applicant. Part 2 is the particulars of the corporate debtor. Part 3 is the proposed IRP. Part 4 is the particulars of the financial or operational debt. And Part 5 is for the documents, reports, and evidence of defaults attached herewith. Now, the important points are name and address of the person resident in India authorized to accept the service of process in its behalf has to be given. Particulars of the proposed IRP is required to be given in case of operational creditor only when he is proposing to appoint an IRP. In case of operational creditor, we know that along with the Form 5, along with the Form 5 for the application to initiate CIRP, there is a Form 5A, which if available is to be attached. That is from the bank or the financial institutions who are maintaining the relevant account of the operational creditor, giving the details of the last 3 years for the amount that has been credited by the corporate debtor to that particular account of the operational creditor. This is the what we have done in summarized form, but the next is there are only 3 parts in Form 6 which are filed by the corporate applicant to initiate CIRP under the code. When I go through the case laws, why are these parts to be done in detail? Or why should we know about these forms particulars? Because somehow when you will go through the case laws, they are all being discussed in the case laws itself. So if they are discussed in the case laws, they are part of my course, and we can't say that they are asking this to this level also, this level also. No, they have been somewhere important and been discussed in the case laws which are prescribed in our IBC syllabus. First of all, if you will go through the Supreme Court of India case Mercury Bank Limited versus Shilpi Technology Limited, the judgment was there were the 2 questions made, but we have to focus for the rules purpose. The second one, that whether a demand notice of an unpaid operational debt can be issued by a lawyer on behalf of the operational creditor. If you will go through the page 58-59 of this, it says yes. If you see, the first thing that is to be noticed is that Section 8 of the code speaks of an operational creditor who is delivering a demand notice. It is this clear that had the legislature wished to restrict such demand notice being sent by the operational creditor himself, he would have used the expression issued and not delivered. And delivery means that such notice could be made by an authorized agent also. In fact, in Form 3, that is the form for the demand notice, and Form 5, whichever being stated in the case itself, And if you have a look, if you remember it, it is also stated, I have specifically mentioned, it is clearly the understanding of the draftsman of the adjudicating authority rules, because signature of the person authorized to act on behalf of the operational creditor must be appended to both the demand notice as well as the application under section 9 of the code. The position further becomes clear that both forms require such authorized agent to state his position with or in relation to the operational creditor. A position with the operational creditor would perhaps be a position in the company or firm of the operational creditor, but it shall be in relation to the operational creditor. It is therefore clear that both the expression authorized to act and position in relation to the operational creditor go to show that an authorized agent or a lawyer acting on behalf of his client is included within the aforesaid expression. Very important to look for it. And if you will, first of all, I will like to recollect you the forms. If you remember it, I have again and again mentioned the main thing. It is with regard to the operational creditor that was being discussed in Macquarie Bank Shilpi Technology Form 3 demand notice, which was specifically requiring in the last signature of the person who is authorized to act and what is his relation with or in relation to the operational creditor. And if you will go through Form 4, that is also a substitute Form 4.3, the same thing, it is asking in the person authorized to act on behalf of the operational creditor. And if you will look for the Form 5 for initiating CIRP by the operational creditor, the same thing, signature of the person. So they are saying that is specifically mentioned here. So in even any person who is being authorized to act on behalf of the operational creditor can go ahead for it. If we will look for the same, remember it, it was written in Form 6, your Form 6 also, that it is person authorized to act on behalf of the corporate applicant, his signature is given, then he has to state the relation also. And in the forms itself, they have to give who is the person authorized to receive the notice process, as well as the name and address of the person who is authorized to submit the application on its behalf when the application is being filed by the in the Form 1 also. So in every case, the form can be filed by an authorized representative or a lawyer also. And if you will go through the case laws, it's only one thing that I would like to say you, one more thing in the Macquarie Bank, that we can go ahead with it. Phase 1. 58 and 59, the conclusion I have drafted here. It's phase 1. This is why I'm showing you, because I want to tell you how to grasp the provisions in the case laws for the purpose of exam. That was in Macquarie Bank. The first page itself saying, it is raising two important questions that we have discussed right now. And the second question on which we were focusing, and if you will go through the 58 and 59 section, 58 page, the same thing I have summarized in here also, delivering and the Form 3 and Form 5. They are said that he can do so. Okay. Now, on the basis of this, there was another case law, Sunrise. If we will go through the Sunrise case, the same thing was held by the Supreme Court in case of financial creditor also. The reference being given to the Macquarie Bank Limited versus Shilpi Technologies Limited, that the petition filed by an advocate would be maintainable as has been held in the Macquarie Bank. We are of the view that the such judgment would apply in the case of financial creditors as well. What I am saying is, you have, when you are doing the case study, just keep in mind the name and this particular highlighted decisions that they had given that are being part of your case laws analysis. Now, another thing that has been discussed in length is power of attorney holder. Authorized to act means power of attorney holder. because power of attorney means you are authorizing someone else to act on behalf of it. And this has been in the case of Palogix Infrastructure Private Limited versus ICICI Bank Limited. NACLAT has held that power of attorney holders are not authorized to present insolvency application under section 7, 9 and 10 of the code. It is only the authorized representatives who are duly authorized by the board resolutions or who are authorized to present the same. They can go ahead. So who can file the application on behalf of the financial creditor, operational creditor or corporate, that they are authorized representative or they are duly authorized by the board resolutions. And that's true when the board resolution will be passed or the authorized representatives are there, they must be authorized to present the same. So it is not the case of general power of attorney. It is the case of specific power of attorney, that is specifically this power to present the application under section 7, 9 or 10 must be given to the person who is submitting the application. And we have seen in forms 1, 5 and 6 also that it is required to be mentioned the name of the person who is authorized to submit the application along with the authorization letter. The same was the decision in this particular case. I would request you to remember this particular case because this is a new case that has been added. Is Palogix Infrastructure Private Limited versus ICICI Bank, that has gone a step ahead for the clarifying what is the meaning of person authorized to act. So ICICI Bank Limited filed an application under section 7 of IBC for initiation of CIRP against Palogix Infrastructure Private Limited, that is the corporate debtor. The case was referred to the Honorable President NCLT. See, there were the two decisions that were being given in this particular case. First was given by the member, NCLT member judicial, that power of they hold the application through the power of attorney is not maintainable, but the technical member bench said that the application was maintainable as power of attorney was given in favor of the legal manager to initiate legal proceedings before the NCLT, that is the adjudicating authority under the IBC. So case was then referred to the Honorable President NCLT because we know when there is a separate decision of the judicial and the technical member, it is referred to the President of NCLT under section 419 of the Companies Act for constituting a larger bench for the decision, whereby majority judgment held that there should be specific authorization to the power of attorney holder to initiate the CIRP. Financial creditor having not filed a specific authorization, he was directed to rectify the defects. The financial creditor challenged the said order on the ground that no specific authorization is required for initiating CIRP. Then the Supreme Court says that a power of attorney is an authorization by a principal to its agent to do an act. A fortiori, such authorization can only be of the acts which are in the knowledge and consideration of the principal as on the date when such authorization is given. Now they are saying whether the constituted attorney, power of attorney, is authorizing the person to file suits or proceedings against the company for recovery of the amount. And can that particular person who is filing such application give an affirmation in the plaintiff's affidavits and the other pleadings in any court of India, including NCLT? Then such person can file application for initiating CIRP. How is it that they are saying? And the three beautiful lines of the Messrs Innovative Industries. It is an act to consolidate and amend the laws relating to reorganization and insolvency resolution. Insofar as corporate persons are concerned, amendments are made in the enactments of 249 to 252 and 255. It is a settled law that are consolidated and amending. See, please remember all these three lines of the judgment of Messrs Innovative Industries Limited, that IBC is a consolidated act in itself, and it is exhaustive of the matters dealt with herein. There is no doubt that this is a parliamentary law and exhaustive code on the subject matter in relation to the entities. And another MCQ that we will say that it is coming from the Constitution is that it is mentioned under entry 9, list 3rd in the 7th schedule, read as bankruptcy and insolvency. Please mark these for the purpose of your exam. Another thing they said, authorization in case of a company means a specific authorization by the board of directors of the company, and then it is given by passing a resolution. Therefore, application under section signed, if signed and filed by the general power of attorney holder without specific authorization, it is not maintainable. The form and the manner in which an application under section 7 is to be filed is provided in form 1. And if you will peruse your form 1, then you will recognize that financial creditor being a juristic person can only act through an authorized representative. Entry 5 and 6 in part 1 of form number 1, if you recollect, that says that he has to give a name and address of the person authorized to submit application on its behalf, and along with that the authorization shall be enclosed. Signature block of the form 1 is requiring the authorized person to insert therein the details and the position of the authorized person in relation to the financial creditor. Thus, it is clear that an authorized person of the financial creditor can make application under section 7. And if an officer like the senior manager of a bank has been authorized to grant loan, for recovery of loan, or to initiate a proceeding for CIRP against the person who have taken loan, in that case, corporate debtor cannot plead that the officer has the power to sanction loan, but he has no power to recover the loan amount or to initiate CIRP in spite of default of. It means that the person who has the power to grant loan, or the one who has the power for recovery of a loan, has an automatic power to initiate a proceedings. It doesn't require a specific authorization. If a plea is taken by the authorized officer that he was authorized to sanction the loan and he has done so, then the application made by such person who was authorized to sanction the loan under section 7 cannot be rejected, that he doesn't have specific authorization. If he has a power to sanction the loan, it means he has a power to initiate CIRP against the default. That is what was there in power of attorney holder, ICICI Bank, Pajolis Infrastructure Private Limited versus ICICI Bank. If you will go to the Messrs Innovative Industries Limited versus ICICI Bank, a very old one and a very detailed one. The present case, the first page, if you will go through, it will say it raises interesting questions arising under the IBC code, which received the presidential asset on 28th May 2016. Another MCQ that we will say from where it has come, it is not specifically mentioned, though we all know about it. And we keep in track of all this, but these are the dates they are mentioned in the case laws also. That's why they are important. That this has received presidential asset on 28th May 2016, but we know the provisions of the code came into force only in November and December 2016. NCLT held that the code would prevail against the Maharashtra Act in view of the non-obstant clause in section 238 of the code. This is the main decision of it that highlighted the importance of section 238 of the code, giving it the top priority that the IBC code is all that would survive. If there is something contradictory to the IBC code, then it's the IBC code that will prevail. When it comes to a financial creditor triggering the process, section 7 becomes relevant. Under the explanation, if you will go through the section 7, we know that the financial creditor files an application under section 7. A default is in the explanation of section 7.1 is saying that a default in respect of a financial debt or to any financial creditor of the corporate debtor, then it need not be a debt owed to the applicant financial creditor, a very important judgment. And please mark this case laws for all these judgments. It is saying that if there is a loan given by the SBI to the corporate debtor, by the ICICI Bank, by the Axis Bank, by the PNB Bank, by HDFC Bank. There are so many banks which give the loan, but it's only the payment of HDFC Bank that is being defaulted. Can SBI make an application? Can ICICI make an application? Or it's only the HDFC whose loan is defaulted can make an application? This is, it need not be a debt owed to the applicant financial creditor. SBI can also make, ICICI can also make, Axis Bank can also make, PNB can also make, or they can make jointly also. HDFC can also, HDFC is eligible and all are eligible, because the perception is if it has made default in the loan of one particular bank, it can also make a default in the loan of other banks in the financial institutions. The third observation of this particular case law was, and under section 7.2, section 2, an application is to be made in such form and manner as is prescribed, which takes us to the insolvency and bankruptcy application to the adjudicating authority rules. Why it is being asked? This question has come in the exam. That's why I'm focusing on it again and again. That the application is to be made in form 1, which is divided in part 5 that we have discussed till now, and the copy of the application to be dispatched before filing with the adjudicating authority by registered post or speed post to the registered office of the corporate debtor. Other provisions have been added later on in the rules. So I have attached the link of the MCQ along with this particular video, and request you to attempt this particular form and the MCQs also. Hope it will help you. Thank you.